Hello and welcome everybody. Today we are looking at the Lightning Sorceress, which we can now play without infinity thanks to the new Thunder Charm. And once again I'm introducing different builds and different budget classes. So let's go. For the stat points we have 3 variants A, B and C this time, which also belong to the corresponding skill trees. Variant A is the usual distribution, strength for the equipment, remaining in vitality. In variant B, we also increase enough strength for the equipment, but the remaining points go into energy. We use this variant for builds with Enery Shield. In that case there is also a variant C, a hybrid build. At the end, when wearing equipment, points on vitality and energy are distributed in a way that you have little more life than mana. Variant C is often used if you don't have the Enery Shield at maximum. The advantage of having more life than mana: witches don't cast the blood mana curse, but more about that later. Again, we need the usual 1-point skills Frozen Armor, Warmth, Static Field, Telekinesis and Teleport. Then we have several options again. Variant A skills out Lightning and Chain Lightning, including synergies. But since Lightning Mastery gives more percentages, it will be maximized before the synergies. This variant is suitable for every budget class. Variant B plays Nova. In addition, the Lightning Mastery also is maximized and the synergy Static Field of course too. Now we have enough points left to bring up the Enery Shield to 20 points, and the remaining points go into the synergy Telekinesis, which also can be skilled out in the end. The Enery Shield causes a certain percentage of the damage to be redirected to mana. You should get it to skill level 35, there 90% damage are diverted. Even better would be 40, there you reach the maximum of 95%. The synergy Telekinesis causes the damage going to mana being reduced again. Without synergy, every damage point that comes in consumes 2 mana points. That would be a rate of 200%. Each point in Telekinesis will reduce the mana damage by 0.0625 points. At skill level 8 you will have a loss of 1.5 mana per damage point, so a 150% rate. At 16 hard skill points you reach a ratio of 1:1, so that's 100%, and at full 20 points we reach the best rate of 75%. Playing Enery Shield requires good mana and life regeneration. This is also important for the Nova, which can consume lots of mana fast. It also does good damage only at high level, therefore I recommend the skill not lower than medium budget. Even better if you are already on the way to the high budget area. Variant C also plays Lightning and Chain Lightning. The skill tree looks quite similar to Variant A, with the difference that the Enery Shield is unlocked for use here. This variant I recommend for hobbyists, because at the end you can individually configure whether you prefer to have more damage or a stronger Enery Shield. Accordingly, it is up to you whether you prefer to maximize all synergies or rather put a few more points into the Enery Shield and or Telekinesis. Since this hybrid build has nothing special, this variant does not occur in the gameplays. Here are the breakpoints for the Sorceress and also a damage table for the 3 main skills. Note that the spells Lightning and Chain Lightning have different breakpoints. Now for the equipment, starting with some cheap gear. Since Thunder Charm alone is not enough to inflict enough damage to lightning immune monsters, we have to lower the resistances. The rune word Crescent Moon is fine here. It has -35% and only costs an rune. On the head a peasant crown or a lore helmet. Shield as usual spirit, and the armor is the skin of the Viper Mage. Additionally, you can sock Orc runes for more lightning resistance. Without Spirit Sword we have some lack of cast rate, so we need 2 rings with 10% each. Nice if already having resistances. In addition, Krangul's gloves, so we get to 105% cast rate for the breakpoint, provided the shield has rolled 35%. For the lightning bolt and chain lightning breakpoints it isn't quite enough, but at least we can teleport fast yet. On the remaining slots we have to get in some resistances, especially lightning to compensate the thunder charm. For this I recommend the Immortal King set belt. Natalia's boots are also fine, they have cold and lightning resists. In the amulet slot you can use a metal grid or maybe a blue prismatic amulet. If you play carefully, you can also do without maximum resist and put skills into the slot instead. Besides the thunder charm, there are a few resistance charms in the inventory. In addition, mana charms are useful too, especially when also having life on them. As usual we have an Act 2 mercenary with runeward insight. In addition I gave him a Tal Rasha mask and treasury. Some other things would be usable too. On the head you can also take Vampire Gaze, and some further usable body armors are uniques like Duriel's Shell and Shaftstop, or runewords like Lionheart and Duress. At level 90 the budget Sorceress has 1000 life and depending on charms 500 to 600 mana. At maximum resistances she has 8500 lightning damage and 4700 chain lightning. Adding 2 skill points she already comes to 10 and 5.5k. Cast rate is 105% and we have minus 35% lightning resistances to make sure that lightning immune monsters only have 60% resistances in the end. In the middle budget range, the complete Tal Rasha set is an option. The orb gives minus 15% lightning resistance when wearing 4 set parts. Additionally, you can put facets into them, so you get up to minus 30%. Furthermore, you can add torch, ani and skill charms to your inventory. In the second weapon slot, you carry CTA and another spirit shield. If you want to play without the Tal Rasha set, you can also use the standard items like Harlequin Crest, Ormus, Ishutas, Erected Mesh and Maras. But then you miss the minus 15% lightning resistance from the set. To get more minus resistances, you can of course consider to fill some 4-socketed shield or body armor with lightning facets. When having enough cast rate, Stones of Jordan can be used of course. When needing resistances, you can also fall back on Heart of the Oaks or Chains of Honor. The mercenary can be upgraded with 40 and Andy face and in the end also get an infinity, but with that we get into the expensive area yet. At the high budget I show you the equipment of my Nova Energy Shield build. Here a few things are a bit different, but some of the items shown can of course also be used on the Lightning Chain Lightning Sorceress. I have 2 different setups here. The first one plays with 105% cast rate, but here we have 2600 mana without Warcry and 3700 with. The poison resistance is almost at maximum, that's important. The others don't bother us so much here as we will see. Besides, this setup has over 6000 Nova damage and a maximum of minus 55% lightning resistance for monsters. But it is also very expensive. Griffin, Ishutas and a Nova Ormus, of course all socket with lightning facets, plus an Erected Mesh, Maras and 2 Jordans. Then I have a J-mod with 4 lightning facets, but optionally a Grey Monarch would do as well. The boots are Sandstorm tracks because of the high poison resistance, and the gloves are Frostburn because they increase our maximum mana by 40%. In the second slot of course CTA and Spirit as well. Beside Torch, Ani and Thunder Charm we need skillers. Since there are none with mana, we preferably take some with strength. So when distributing stat points you can spend more in energy. In addition, small charms with strength and mana. Of course you also could decide to push up your resistances. The mercenary again has 40 and Andy's face and insight, that's important. It should be a prayer mercenary, so the auras prayer and meditation synergize with each other. This provides some strong mana and life regeneration. The second setup I prepared plays at 200% cast rate. We have to exchange 5 items. We get 10% each by 2 rings, 20% by a crafted Sorc amulet, 20 by Trangules or Mage Fist, and 35 by a Spirit Shield. However, changing the shield we lose minus 20% monster resistances, so we are only at minus 35% now. This setup also has about 6k damage, but only 1600 mana without Cry and 2600 with. Here are a few items you can experiment with on all builds. Headhunter's Glory has high defense value, defense against missile, as well as poison and fire resistance, plus up to 3 sockets. That can be considered as a base for lightning facets. Life after kill also is quite nice. Mangsong's Lesson lowers the resistances by 15%, with facet by 20, but it is a two-handed staff. Also a possibility, carry Infinity yourself, so you can finally use the minus 45 to minus 55% lightning resistance that rolls on it. The Conviction aura doesn't work so strong in combination with the Thunder Charm. If I'm not wrong, only about minus 20% lightning resistance remains from the effect, but still a nice benefit. Altogether, we can get over minus 100% lightning resistances for opponents. A cast rate of at least 105% can be achieved here too, but only 4500 Nova damage. Now the gameplay. First we look at the low budget build. The gameplay is very comfortable, you can attack from a safe distance. Lightning does more damage, chain lightning is nice when monsters are spread in various directions all over the screen, so you can use the spells depending on the situation. The static field is also great for monsters with lots of health, for example the act bosses. The budget build already performs pretty well. Once lightning immune monsters die fast enough on players 1, so you can basically farm everything. Here we can see the performance with Tal Rasha Set, players 1 and also players 8. Now the Nova Sorc. Here we have to activate the Energy Shield first, but on high level it usually lasts longer than you stay in the same game, unless you lose all your mana. Then it disappears and has to be recasted. Due to the immense amount of mana and the high mana regeneration, our mana sphere has become a true protector. Most of the damage monsters deal to us is simply swallowed up. Even exploding dolls don't really impress us. That's handy of course, because we always want to port into the monster masses to make the best use of Nova. Besides, we can teleport and cast Novas endlessly, even at 200% cast rate. This is extremely convenient. However, the mana regeneration here has to compensate for both your own consumption and also the incoming damage. But there are a few things that can be dangerous, so you should watch out for. Poison damage is not redirected by the Energy Shield, the ticks always go to your life points. Since we don't have many of them, this is bad of course. Usually we don't have too many problems with that, because since we have a prayer mercenary with insight by our side, we regenerate fast enough so that we don't notice much of the poison damage. However, if the mercenary dies or isn't around at the moment, it can become dangerous. Souls can also be nasty as soon as they appear in larger quantities, because they steal your mana when attacking. Mana burn like from ghosts or boss monsters on the other hand is not so dramatic. Our mana regeneration works fast enough. Also you should know that both Witches and Bale cast the Blood Mana Curse, when the character has more mana than life points. The curse causes us to consume life instead of mana with our spells, so we just could kill ourselves by casting. However, it is not a too big problem if you are careful, you just have to go a little slower. The life regeneration by the mercenary will refresh you. There are several reasons why I prefer not to use the Energy Shield on the Frost Nova Sorceress. First off, the Frost Nova needs one more synergy, which leaves less points for Energy Shield. Second, Energy Shield unfortunately is a lightning skill, and for having it at high level, lightning skillers would come into play. Not the optimum on a Cold Sorc either. And the third and probably most important reason, on the Cold Sorceress you can combine the attacks very well, especially the Blizzard. I get a lot of kill speed out of it. On the Lightning Sorceress I don't have a comparable possibility, so it doesn't lower my kill speed if I put the remaining points into the Energy Shield. Here we also can take a look at how the Nova Sorc performs on players 8. It cleans up very well in any case, but I don't see that the kill speed is better here than on the Cold Sorceress, which some of you have claimed in the comments. On maps where there are no lightning immunes this may be the case, but here in the Chaos Sanctuary for example, I felt like I was a little faster here with my Frost Nova Sorceress. The Lightning Sorc does twice as much damage with her Nova on paper, but that's forgetting the additional Blizzard damage and also the Cold Mastery the Cold Sorc has, which even can bring previously immune monsters to minus 100% resistances. The Lightning Sorc just can't reach that even if you max out everything. The Nova Sorceress is definitely a very strong and convenient build though, and finally works without Infinity. Lightning Sorcs are still a solid choice despite the new hype of Cold and Fire, and they are in no way inferior to their competitors. All elements have their appeal and are very playable in the endgame now, so there is definitely more balance than it was before. We now have arrived at the end. I say goodbye, take care, and may the loot be with you.
Kommt schon. Folgt mir.